We're at the Buffalo Bill Center of the Wild West in Cody, Wyoming today, and in our explorations of the importance of the gunboat, we're actually going to go look at some history of firearms today.
Things that museums are doing nowadays, which I think is really, it's got a good side and a bad side. It's called contemporary collecting. Now, with contemporary collecting, it's great because you're acknowledging that you have to continue the storyline because what's made today is a part of tomorrow's history.
Right.
And so a lot of museums are doing that. Now, the only difficult thing is then, are you cherry picking what present things will be seen in the future? And so you have to be cognizant and careful of that. But it is really important because the technologies that were made 150 years ago, we're still making them today, and we're improving upon them. And I think it's integral to understanding as we continue to make guns. I think there needs to be a much better understanding of what's already been made, so that we can really push forward to make better technologies for military side, sporting side, self-defense side, all those different things. I think it's kind of essential for us to understand where we came from so that we can move forward.
You obviously want the evolution to continue. Like, you
Yes.
want progress of the firearms technology, and
I think
it's all
that
part of the story. As we grow, so does the technology in firearms. Right?
exactly. When I came out here, when I came out here full time, I'd already been working here on and off for 3 years. And so I was a research fellow, I was an intern. You name a position, like I occupied it in the gun museum here before I got hired full time. And one of the things that disappointed me when I came was how people just put up a wall whenever you would bring up what you did, and that it makes it difficult for a museum to try to tell an educational story, a contextual story, when you've got people that just they bring such a present mind about what the objects are, and they project it on historical objects. And so I was like, well, I got to do something about this. So I started studying the perception of the guns, which I obviously kind of in some way started in grad school, and now I fully study the perception of guns and culture, and I look at not just what happens today, but where in history we started developing collective memory to develop the attitudes that we have today, what happened to get us where we are, and then how can we use understanding where that came from and how everything works, and understanding misinformation to break down those walls so we can actually have a conversation.
Yeah.
One of the things too that was interesting to me when I started studying perception was that everybody wants to focus on the negative, the violence, and and it's understandable why people are upset when bad things happen. But when I really got into understanding firearms and firearms history and present firearms culture, I was like, violence is one part of the story, but it's not the entire story, and it's really, in the grand scheme of things, a smaller part of the story when you look at how large our sporting culture is, our hunting culture is, our self-defense culture is. It's really one part of it that I think you can't obfuscate and hide that it is a part of it. I think you need to acknowledge it, but it's a small part when you look at everything that's going on. My mind was blown when I saw how active our sports shooting world was, and I think that seems silly that granted it's been a couple of years now since I had that revelation, but I thought it was silly that how do I not know about this, as an average American. But there's all these things under the surface that we just don't necessarily know about, and that need to be heard.
We had such an enjoyable time today here with Ashley, touring us around the museum, and we saw firearms from around the world and how they evolved into what they are today. But in that, I want you to take a minute and think about the firearms culture in the United States and how it has evolved as well. We initially fought for our independence, but we also had a big turning point in firearms in the United States after the Civil War. And the use of firearms in the U.S. changed around that time, and now our culture, yes, the military still uses the firearms, but now many American citizens use the firearms as sporting arms. We not only shoot competitions, but we also use them for hunting and putting food on the table. They are tools in our lives. So I hope that you will think of how my grandfather and maybe yours fought for our independence, they fought for our freedom, and don't forget about freedom when you head to the polls.